What is going on, guys? Welcome to Outside the Brand. This is just, a normal episode on a Tuesday night. We got our own special guest here with me. I'm going to allow him to introduce himself in just a little bit. But, guys, today is just a nice, chill episode on a Tuesday night. I know you guys are probably in the middle of watching NXT, but whoever comes by, I want to appreciate you guys for joining us in. And yeah, we're going to be talking some pro wrestling, guys. We got CM Punk news, or it's just CM Punk talk, really. Talking about Survivor Series, talking about Monday Night Raw, maybe a little bit of AEW if we kind of get into that type of a deal, if anything. But at the end of the day, we're just going to be talking pro wrestling, and it's just going to be a good time on a Tuesday night. So, guys, before I let my special guest introduce himself, hit the like button, turn on the bell for all notifications, subscribe to the channel as we are on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Your support means absolutely everything to this channel, and we would not be here without you guys. So, without further ado, let's allow our special guest to introduce himself, and let's get ready to talk some pro wrestling. How you doing, my man?
It's up to. I feel weird introducing myself, but
Sorry
uh,
about that.
my name's Derek. I also go by Mr. Clarkafella on the internet, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, wherever. Uh, Content creator and huge wrestling fan. Hence why I'm here. So ready to talk some wrestling. I don't think there's anything big that really happened the last few days to really talk about though, but um, I can't really think of much.
We'll just really talk about Survivor Series, how we thought about the show and everything like that. I mean, Survivor Series was, pretty monumental. We saw the return of both Randy Orton and CM Punk to the world of or to the world of WWE rather. Um,
Wait,
I
CM
mean,
Punk
it's
is back?
been
Wow,
I know,
I haven't
right?
heard.
It's kind of crazy. I know it's kind of crazy to even
Yeah.
believe or just to even think about. Um, but how'd you think about Survivor Series overall, man? Because at the end of the day, I thought, with the War Games matches coming back this year for the second consecutive year in a row, and hopefully it becomes a tradition and the mainstay. Um, I thought it was a very, very solid show, but obviously with the returns, it just made it that much better.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like outside of the CM Punk of it all, I honestly thought it was a really good show, top to bottom. I mean, for me, the women's War Games match was the match of the night. I thought that was excellent as far as action, but the storytelling was phenomenal. But yeah, overall, I was if CM Punk never showed up, I would have been like, oh, this was a really good show. And then
Yeah,
obviously that
I,
happened. I was like, this was a great show. But yeah, no, and the men's War Games, uh, with the Money in the Bank tease, I thought that was dope.
yeah, yeah,
And yeah, because I think a lot of us were kind of thinking like, what is this possible? Like, could this even happen? Like before the match ever happened? I know that was
right.
thrown around a lot. Um, and the fact that they teased it, I thought that was really cool. Um, and then yeah, it's hard to talk about it without mentioning CM Punk, but everything else was great. I had a I made a video today about it, and I think it shows how like where WWE is right now, that they could have a show that good and it was that well perceived and all that buzz, and Roman Reigns was nowhere to be found, and
Nowhere
that's not
near
a
to be
bad thing.
found.
Like the
Yeah.
fact that and the fact that we're like that's not even like being brought up and like people being up in arms about it just shows like he wasn't needed for that show. None of the bloodline was. And I thought that just shows where WWE is right now, where they're like, yeah, we have our top guy, we know, but we're gonna give you this, and it's still gonna hit, and it did.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a lot of stuff that are going on right now in the world of WWE that are just, hitting on all cylinders. I mean, you got everything going on with Monday Night Raw right now. The Bloodline is kind of on the back burner right now, but you got the Judgment Day just going over and over and over again. It seems like we were just getting a main event after main event after main event with these guys, but we all kind of should have known that that
Yeah,
was probably going to lead to War Games eventually, and it did kind of lead to
right.
that. But at the end of the day, Judgment Day are kind of just, running Monday Night Raw right now, and that's not even really just a catchphrase. It feels like it's legitimately been happening over the course of the last few months.
Yeah, no, that's not that's not a gimmick. That's they are literally running like uh,
Yeah.
I feel like it's become just at this point, like it's just a part of like I feel like they're in on the joke now, where it's just like they're going to be in every segment. Like even
Oh, for
if it doesn't concern them, it doesn't matter.
no,
It's
yeah.
just
I
Judgment
mean,
Day all day.
at the end of the day, I mean, the Judgment Day, whether you like them or whether you don't, that they are, a pretty formidable faction. You got those tag team champions, and Finn Balor and Damian Priest, and Mr. Money in the Bank with
Right.
Damian Priest. You got the NXT North American champion and Dominic Mysterio, who, whether you like him or hate him, he gets that amount of heat that he can just receive and just be that type of a heat
Yeah,
magnet
man.
for that group. And Mommy Rhea Ripley's just awesome in every single way, shape, and form. So
I
I
mean,
mean, there's just a
she's
lot of things going on.
she's just on another level. She's just on another level. Like as far as stardom, just male or female, she's just head and shoulders above pretty much everybody. It's crazy.
I I honestly personally believe that the Judgment Day saved her career. I mean, when it comes down to it, there was a lot of things going on uh, when let's just say Charlotte Flair beat her for the NXT Women's Championship at that WrestleMania. That was just I didn't personally care for that decision, but um, there was
Same.
kind of like a little bit of a low point in Rhea Ripley's career, but then all of a sudden, once that whole Judgment Day kind of just came together with Edge, it
Yeah,
really
I mean,
elevated her to that next level.
I think it helped both because honestly, you say that Judgment Day saved her career. I think she saved Judgment Day because just as
Fair
when
to
it was
say
just
too.
Edge and Damian Priest, like once she got in the fold, then you were like, okay, I can see where this might be going. That's just somewhat intriguing. But when it was just Edge and Damian Priest, it was kind of spinning their wheels for a little bit, and it wasn't hitting like a lot of people thought it would. But once Rhea got there, it was like, okay, all right, and yeah. So I think it was just a match made in heaven because I think it helped both of them.
For sure, man, for sure. Now I already told you this before. We even went on the air and everything like that as we were just talking back and forth about the details of the show. I don't want this to turn into like some sort of like interview or anything like that because that's just not what this was about. But I did kind of want to get a little bit of more of a background on you when you started watching pro wrestling and everything like that, so that way we
Yeah.
can kind of figure out how all this came to be for you. I mean, it's probably
Oh,
been a long time, right?
yeah, yeah. So I'm 36 and I've been watching since I was 3 3 years old.
Wow. Okay.
I think, yeah, WrestleMania 6 was like my first memory of pro wrestling. So Hogan Warrior, I go all the way
Gotcha.
back to that far. Uh, Brief hiatus here and there, but for the most part, straight through. It's just I can't escape it. I can't get rid of it. You
Right.
know, it's
As soon as you
it's
wanna
I
try to
just no,
take a
I
break,
fucking
it
love it.
just
I
sucks
love
you
it,
right
dude.
back in, and I've had that kind of an experience myself, so I mean, it is kind of what it is. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I
I
feel like
mean,
everybody kind of falls out for a little bit at some point. You know, whether it's
yeah,
like a few weeks or a few months, maybe a few years. But I feel like at some point, you kind of have a little bit of a lull. But for the most part, I've been pretty strong. I've kind of I love it now as much as I pretty much ever have. There's so much for fucking wrestling. It's so much wrestling, and I love it.
especially
You know.
nowadays. Before, when you were, like, in your younger years or anything like that, it just, like, felt like, "Alright, WWE, the big boys in town, everything like that, you can just watch that one product," but now there's
Yeah.
everything. Impact, AEW, New Japan, Stardom, there's just so much pro wrestling over the course of the week that sometimes you just can't handle it anymore, and you just gotta
Uh,
figure out what you need to do.
bro, I was just like channel surfing like a few weeks ago, and I saw WoW was on, and I
Yeah,
just watched WoW for like 2 hours straight on like a random like Saturday night or something. I just I welcome
yeah.
it all. It's great, man. Honestly,
Um,
I don't get a chance
yeah,
to watch all of it, but
right, yeah.
on a week to
I
week
just
basis, I should say. But I keep up with all of it as much as I
I try
can.
to watch as much as I can throughout the week because, as you know, I get home right around like the whole time is almost like Monday Night Raw is about to start. So I have to
Right.
watch that. And then things kind of happen with that. So it's just like throughout this entire week when you have a pro wrestling show and almost, or basically, yes, every single day of the week, except for Sunday,
Yeah.
you're just kind of
Yeah. I mean,
far for time.
yeah, it takes up a lot of time. I mean, like, as we speak right now, NXT is on.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's just like
I
every day, you know?
I wanted to try to figure this out or anything like that, but, at the end of the day, whatever time we were probably gonna be able to do this thing, some kind of wrestling
There
was
was gonna
gonna
be
be
something
on
on.
or whatever, um, so I appreciate you for, taking the time out of
Ah,
your
man.
day. Um,
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm
so,
glad we were able to make it happen.
yeah, so, yeah, man, I kinda want to, just kinda open up the floor. I mean, whatever you kinda wanna talk about
Yeah.
when it comes to pro wrestling, uh say something and we'll just talk about it, man. Because I kind
Something.
of like feel like it's kind of just feel like an open floor here. Whatever you want to talk about,
Yeah.
let's do it.
I mean, man, there's just a lot going on right now. I mean, obviously the big news of it all is obviously CM Punk
Right
fucking breaking the internet,
now,
hell
from what I
freezing
know,
over.
you didn't think he was coming back at Survivor Series, right? From what I know, from what I've
I
seen in your videos.
I was very adamant that I didn't think he was coming back, and I got a lot I got a lot of crap for it. But
Yeah, me too.
I it wasn't that I didn't want him to come back. I just didn't think it
Right,
was going to
same.
happen then. Um,
I
but
thought they were gonna save it for
no,
the Rumble,
I was
personally. But
I didn't even know when, to be honest with you. Like, I
yeah,
knew when he walked out after the Rumble in 2014. I was like, he's going to come back at some point. You know, Warrior came back, Brett came back, Vince hired Eric Bischoff. Like, it, never say never is legit a thing for WWE, but I just didn't know when. Um, when he got fired from AEW, I was like, well, if there was any time for WWE to go to get him, I think now is probably the best time. But for some reason, I just didn't think it was going to happen at Survivor Series, and I'm glad I put those expectations very low because I was very happily surprised.
yeah. Um, I mean, at the end of the day, CM Punk in Chicago. I mean, we have seen it about a million times, which is the kind of reason why I thought, I feel like it would have been kind of too easy to do that, but they did it. It came off flawlessly, and now we have CM Punk back in the world of WWE. Of course, there's a lot of backlash that comes with that, considering we all know the whole thing that happened with Seth Rollins after the show. He was not very happy about it. How do you feel about that whole kind of situation? Because it's very documented how much Seth Rollins doesn't really like CM Punk, but some people think it's just going to lead to something down the line in terms of an actual program between the two, possibly for like a WrestleMania or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, smart money, you would say that's possibly your main event of night one of WrestleMania, Punk versus
Yeah,
Rollins. I feel like that's the best way to go. Uh, I I do think there's some sort of animosity there, but I think that Seth was working a little bit um, after the pay per view. Um, like I said, I don't think him and Phil get along too well, but uh, I definitely think he was putting a little extra on it.
you can
Um,
play it to the crowd or whatever. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, I mean, I feel like I feel like if you flip somebody the double bird, like, and if you're if you're going back and forth and you flip the double bird, I feel like that's so extra that like I feel like that's not usually someone's go to right away. Like if
Right.
you're that heated in an argument, it's like, hey, buddy, like maybe, but plus if Michael Cole is holding you back, like
I was gonna say the exact same thing. Because Michael Cole, Corey
don't get me
Graves,
wrong,
a
I've heard Cole's
bunch
been
of
in the
WWE
gym. I heard
officials.
there was like a ref like pointing and like that's not yeah. Don't get me wrong, I'm here for it. I love
Just
it.
waving
They're
too
using
with
social
CM
media. Yeah,
Punk, so he's like,
yeah.
"Hi." Like, bro, like
It's the best way to use social media. I'm here
Yeah.
for it. Um, but no, I'm very intrigued. I think even if that didn't happen, I think that was always had to be the move when Punk came in, Punk and Rollins. If if Triple H is since Triple H is unable to wrestle, the next best thing down that pecking order as far as match with Punk, probably Rollins.
Oh, for sure.
Um, he's he's kind of like the WWE flag bearer, the gatekeeper, whatever you want to call him. I personally, I would just have any AEW star that comes in, you got to go against Rollins. So let's go Jade Cargill versus Seth Rollins. Send Seth
Probably
down
wouldn't
to
mind that.
NXT. You can do him and Lexus King. Anybody who comes from AEW, you got to go through Rollins.
I mean,
That's how
Rollins
I
has
look at
been
it.
the benchmark for what WWE has been over the course of the last decade or so. So, I mean, you
Yeah,
got that right then and
bring
there. So,
that's it. I think automatically you just go to Seth. Bring QT Marshall in, get get him and Seth in there. Yeah, bring
I
them
mean,
all.
Cody went to Seth right away, and
Exactly, exactly.
he did 3 great matches with him when it comes down to that program, even one with
Yeah, no, I yeah.
one broken boot. So, yeah.
Yeah. So I no, but I mean, there's history there. Obviously,
Yeah.
Punk basically brought in the Shield, so there's that, and then all the whatever animosity they have. Personally, I mean, I think you can't really go wrong with that.
Yeah.
But
So, WrestleMania
yeah, man.
season, though, man, it's definitely gonna be something very, very interesting to go over because, I mean, it's in April, but we're at the beginning of December basically right now, and that's going
Yeah, I
to
mean, like
come very quickly.
without a pay per view in December, like, aren't we kind of technically on the road to WrestleMania now? Just because I mean, the next pay
I would
per
say
view or
it.
PLE is Royal Rumble, so I mean,
Yeah,
we're on the road adjacent.
I would say it,
We're on like this.
I mean, we're
We're
getting
at
this
least on like the
long tail to the
crosswalk.
Rumble anyway. So,
Yeah, like we're at least on the crosswalk to WrestleMania. May not be on the actual road, but we're on like a side street, maybe something.
yeah, we're
We're
getting there.
it's close. Yeah,
We are definitely getting there for sure.
yeah, we're
Um,
close.
Now I want to talk to you about another person that is a part of that War Games match that happened for the men's, and that is Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre to me has probably been one
mm,
of the most intriguing superstars on Monday
mm.
Night Raw, period, because of the arcs and the way that he's just been going about things when it comes down to this heel turn, not a heel turn. What is he really about? I mean, I feel like he's probably one of the most intriguing superstars in WWE, period, right now.
Yeah, I mean, I've always kind of preferred heel Drew.
Same.
Um, he obviously got a very unfair rap with with the pandemic.
Yeah.
Um, but it's been time for a heel Drew run for I'd say at least a year. Um, so I'm very intrigued to see how this goes. Um, I am. I was talking with a couple of my buddies today. Like what we see for Drew, like at WrestleMania, and I'm not sure what I see for him, but in the meantime, uh, I think you probably going to end up doing Drew and Rollins again at some point. Maybe at the Rumble. I don't know. Um, but I just want them to just book him like an absolute monster because he is. He's a
Oh,
he is
he is huge. He shouldn't be treated
ridiculously.
like a monster.
Yeah, it's like they look at Damian Priest with the Judgment Day as like he's like the muscle or monster of that group, but like next to Drew, he's just like dwarfed almost. It's just like
Yeah.
he's just a massive man, and they should absolutely almost give him almost like the Brock treatment, where it's just like just wrecking dudes, like
Yeah.
Scottish psychopath Drew makes a comeback and
That
just
was probably one of my favorite
destroys.
parts about him when he was that whole Scouter psychopath, and we just didn't know what he was
Uh,
going to be doing at that time. So, I mean, Drew McIntyre, he's absolutely killing it right now. There's that whole, gray area of like, is he a heel? Is he not? Um, the stuff that he did with Seth Rollins last night on Monday Night Raw, that was fantastic, and I feel like you definitely could be seeing that whole program once again for the Royal
Yeah.
Rumble after this World Heavyweight Championship match against Jey Uso next week on Monday Night Raw. So I mean, who knows what that's going to be leading to? So
Yeah. I mean, I I don't know what the logistics of this person, but I was like I had this like fantasy of Drew McIntyre, a heel Drew McIntyre being backed by William Regal and going up against Cody Rhodes once he's champion. And like I can't get this out of my head, and I want it to happen so badly because I think it would be absolute money. Drew doesn't necessarily need a mouthpiece, but like
no,
a William Regal backing him, going up against a red hot babyface Cody Rhodes as a champion, like that's I feel like that's just maybe it's me, but I don't know.
I the Cody versus Drew feud would be great. I personally would love that. Um, as you know, I'm as big of a Cody Rhodes fan that you can probably ever meet. But I mean, I feel like if they if WWE has it in their right mind, they need to have him finish that story at WrestleMania. I mean, it,
Yeah, no, it's I feel like that's
it's
it
right
has to
there.
happen. Yeah,
Like,
it's gotta happen. Finish the
and
story.
no Rock, I don't want you either. No, don't do
Nah,
it. Look,
I
that
don't get
whole
me wrong.
Rock
I
thing.
love The Rock, but we don't need that. We don't need it right now. I think the time has passed.
I feel
I'm
like that
perfectly
time is
fine
way
with
past.
I'm perfectly fine with The Rock versus Roman Reigns being one of those what ifs. Like Sting and the Undertaker. Like what if? It's like if we
Yeah,
didn't get it, so like Hogan and Austin. What if? I'm perfectly fine
right.
with The Rock and Roman being in that category now. I I don't mind seeing it. I just don't need to see it at the expense of Cody Rhodes' story right now.
Yeah. I'm sorry about the dog. The dog is just going
Bro, I
crazy.
couldn't tell if that was you or me.
No, that was
I
me.
couldn't tell if that was you
That
or
was
me.
me. That was
So
me.
no
This is my
worries.
dog. Um, I'm probably gonna have to let him outside if anything, because now I'm because now he's just gonna continue barking. Do you mind if we just take a little bit of a break so I can get this
Yeah,
done?
no, that's cool, bro. Absolutely.
All right,
Yeah.
hold on 1 second, man. Alrighty, I'm back. Alrighty, I'm sorry about that.
Oh, no worries, man. No worries. Shit happens.
uh, um, yeah. Uh, so, I forgot where we were talking about Drew McIntyre, and then all of a sudden I kind of just lost track. So, um, how'd you feel about
Rock
the
and
women?
Roman.
Rock and Roman. How'd you, Rock and Roman? I feel like that has already long gone past everything like that.
Yeah.
If we didn't get it this year, I just simply don't want it. I'm sorry, I just simply don't want it, and that's just not a
Yeah.
that's not a knock on any of them. I thought a Rock and Roman thing would have been a perfectly way to end the whole tribal chief story or whatever, because Rock is technically the real tribal chief of that family. But if we didn't get it this year, it's too little too late for me.
Yeah. Yeah, that same. I'm kind of in that same boat. Um,
Um, yeah.
you said what the women? You mean the women,
Yeah,
the war games?
how'd you feel about that women's War Games match, man? I felt like you, I thought that was match of the night. Even
Yeah,
though the kind of build for it was not, it felt kind of a little rushed, but it did turn out to be match of the night for me.
yeah. The only like thing that like was weird for me, like in the build up, was like them saying that Charlotte needed to make the call
Yeah.
to Becky, but I was like, why couldn't Bianca make the? I feel like her and Bianca and Becky had been cool a lot like more recent
Longer.
than Becky and Charlotte were. So it was just kind of weird. That whole thing was just kind of weird, where it was like, well, Charlotte, you got to make the call. Are you gonna call? And it's like, you could have called. Like, I feel like
Just because I'm a
you and Becky have face damage control.
just 'cause I'm a four
Like what?
horsewoman with her doesn't mean I have to call her. I mean, you probably have her number as well. So like, what's the
Yeah, I thought that was so weird. It was like damage control became a thing at the expense of Becky and Bianca. So I was like, but whatever, whatever. It is what it is. But other than that, no, I thought that match was great. I was happy for Shotzi.
yeah,
Um, I, like going in clearly, it was just one of these things doesn't isn't like the other
one of
here.
these things
Uh,
don't look like the other. Yeah, I
exactly, because it was like I,
I
it
was
was literally
hoping it
like,
would have been a breakout for her, for sure.
yeah, because it was. I mean, that's a tough spot to be put in. Like you're in there with literally the Avengers of the women's division with Charlotte, Becky, and Bianca. Like the three biggest stars of in the company for the past, but probably like 2 or 3 years in the women's division, and I think she held her own. She looked like she
Yeah,
belonged. I was happy for her because in the build up, I said in the video, it was just like it was like when there's like a high school girl and she's asked her mom if she can go hang out with her friends, and it's like, yeah, but you got to bring your little sister along with you. And like that was Shotzi 100%, where it was just
yeah.
like jumping up and down and like being all crazy, and it was like, whose little sister is this? It's like, but no, she held her on, and the match was great. I loved the story they told with Bailey and Damage Control, with her saving every single member, and ultimately her falling and not being saved by the rest of them. Um, I like that they've been kind of, it's very obvious where it's going, but
Oh yeah.
they've in recent WWE fashion, they're letting it cook. They're not striking too soon. They're letting it build. Um, but yeah, no, I loved it. Io's an absolute sicko.
She's fantastic. Like I get so scared every single time she puts that trash can over her head because if you stumble just a little bit, that's it. Dude,
Bro,
I
it's
don't
like
know how she has enough that balance, man. That balance.
bro, it's like the clip that keeps you're gonna keep seeing over and over again is obviously just her jumping off the top of the cage with it with the trash can over her.
With the trash
But
can,
like
yeah.
the build to that with the pulley and the chain, and like her having to
I
like keep
thought
her
that was
balance
so
up
innovative,
there,
man. I was like, "That's awesome." I was like,
like you're sitting there on like pins and needles, like don't fall, like it was, yeah, no, that was crazy spot. Charlotte's moonsault was absurd. I mean,
yeah.
it was, yeah, it was in the Charlotte Becky hug was, that was a nice moment. So I thought
I
Damage
don't
Control should have won, but
Yeah,
I see
same,
why.
same. Oh, thank God.
I'm willing to, going in, I was like, I feel like they need this because they lost last year too.
Yeah.
But clearly they're going with Bailey, being the
With
one
the
who
loss, you
cost
can
them the
see
match, even though she
why
was
they
the one
did
who
it because
saved
of the
them.
whole Bailey stuff, so, um
Yeah, I mean, I'll hear him out. I'll hear him out. See where
Bailey
they're
was
going with it.
basically flying around like a goddamn linebacker just trying to, save the match for
Just
her team. and
She's just like
in the end,
breaking
it
up passes
just
left and right.
she's like a goddamn linebacker, just trying to get in between those holes so that she can stop that running back. And at the end of the day, she
Dude,
kind of
she was.
just let it go. Yeah. Um. Those.
What I thought was interesting was that Becky was the one who got the pin, and she's literally the only one that's not on SmackDown. I thought that
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
kind of interesting.
It
Although
made
it
sense.
does kind of make sense because they brought her in as like the ringer, so
Right.
I guess that kind
Yeah.
of makes sense. But it was interesting. I was like, that she ain't even going to be there on Friday. Like,
Nope.
but
Nope.
what?
Not at all. Um. And I think what they're doing right now with Bailey and the whole damage control situation and um how she just kind of feels, I don't think she feels like completely out of place because she's the one that started the group and everything, but um I just feel like her time as a heel has kind of run its course a little bit. A babyface turn wouldn't be the worst thing for her.
No, I agree. But I don't want to see the
The
hugger Bailey.
hugger. Thank you.
Like,
Yes.
that's the gimmick that she needs to bring back. Like, either like at the tail end of her career or basically as like a special appearance, kind of like half retired kind of thing.
Yeah,
I want to see this version of Bailey, but just as a baby face. Um, Maybe with some elements of the hugger, like tiny little, but not a full blown side pony. High five that Bailey.
yeah,
Um, I think that's kind of run its course for now. Uh, that's kind of seems like just a nostalgic kind of thing.
for sure, for sure.
Um, but
Well,
but I am curious to see. I think she's built up enough rapport too that like she will immediately get like fan support.
no, for sure. Especially in the way that they're probably going to be able to do it. I mean, I don't know how, because obviously we don't have the script here. But like, depending on how
Oh,
they
you
actually
don't? I
get
got
that
mine right
done.
here.
Oh, you do? Oh, hey. See, I didn't
Yeah.
get mine in the mail yet, but um,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that, that's up to
Advanced
Hunter.
copy.
That's up to Hunter. Um, but
Yeah.
depending on how they actually do it, I think they're going to be able to get that done flawlessly, and we'll see where things go from there. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know if Io is going to be women's champion heading into WrestleMania, but I would hope so. I
Yeah.
mean, if anything, you could do Bailey versus Io if you did want to go that route for WrestleMania.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure either if she's gonna hold the title until till then, but Bailey potentially winning the Royal Rumble and go and facing Io at Mania, that is a possibility I could see. Um, then you could possibly do Bianca versus Charlotte just in a singles match, maybe something like that. But I have a feeling that Io's gonna drop the belt before then,
I honestly thought she was
unfortunately.
going to drop the belt in one of the triple threats that she, had to be a part of throughout that entire time. Because if anything, it was going to be
Mm.
Bianca or Charlotte or somebody. I thought Charlotte was going to win that title the last time she was in that triple threat, and then we were just going to see her go to WrestleMania. But
I
thankfully,
just always assume Charlotte's gonna win. To be
yeah,
honest, I just it's just sad.
it,
It's just kind of where it become,
it
So
it's kind of
she's
like
in
that
it. If
whole
she's near
Cena
a
conundrum.
title,
It's like that whole
yeah.
Cena
I mean,
conundrum. LOL, Cena always wins, or LOL, Charlotte always wins at that point. But
yeah.
um,
That's where I've been at with it.
are you like like I'm a fan of Charlotte. I just haven't liked the way that she has been booked over the course of the years. Of course, I don't think of her as like a bad wrestler or anything like that, but it was just the booking over the
Yeah.
course of the last few years that just made me go sour.
Yeah, I'm not really a Charlotte fan.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
I think Ashley seems really nice.
Yeah.
I think she
She's
seems really cool,
she's probably one of the
but
most nice people.
she
But
seems extremely very sweet.
yeah,
But Charlotte, it's just so the thing with Charlotte compared to like I feel like the rest of the four horsewomen, and you can probably include Bianca in there as well. It's like
she's basically the five now.
you don't you don't like there's no like emotional attachment. I feel like because with Becky you feel Becky. You
Right.
feel like, you see her struggle. She's relatable. Bailey, both sides of Bailey, as a babyface and as a heel, she's still relatable. Sasha, even though she was the boss, she was still there was still a relatable with Charlotte. Like, what's relatable to having your father be Ric Flair and you just being a genetic freak and being able to do all these athletic things? It's like, I feel like I think, maybe the pairing with Shotzi was the start of it,
Yeah.
and like they had that little moment on SmackDown where it was more that was more so Ashley, I felt like, than Charlotte in that segment. And I feel like that
For
was
sure.
she looked human, she seemed human, you know. That's the aspect I think that she's been missing, where like she doesn't have that, like she has the star power. Like you see her and you're like, "Oh, she's a star." Absolutely. But like you aren't like you don't gravitate to her as far as like you feel like you're in this with her. You feel like you're watching her. You don't feel like you're with her, if that makes any sense.
No, I
Um,
I completely understand that. During the
yeah, it's
times
just
that
it's a character flaw.
yeah, yeah, for sure. During the
Like there's
times where they were basically
I felt the same way as you. I felt the same way as you. Like I
yeah,
don't like her in ring. Like I, I think I don't think she's as good as some of the other as some people think maybe, but
which is fair.
there's no denying she's one of the best. And it's just the character thing as far as just feeling something when she's out
Right.
there.
Now, when it
But
came down
yeah.
to Charlotte, finally, like, to me right now, I don't like. Obviously, she was a part of the whole babyface team of War Games and everything like that, but I just don't personally feel like I can cheer for Charlotte most of the time because we've just seen Charlotte over the course of the last few years. She's a way better heel to me than she is a babyface, and you know, depending
Mhm.
on wherever she lies and everything like that, I just can't get behind a babyface Charlotte. That's me personally, but it is kind of just what it is when it comes down to that aspect.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I was saying. It's like she needs like a more human side of her, as instead of just being like, "Hey, I'm the queen. I'm just going up against other bad guys now, so you cheer me." Or it's like I feel like she needs her Jey Uso press conference like Cody did, you know,
Oh my gosh,
where
yes,
she
that
seems
was
human
hilarious.
and she seems like her and Becky, like what was it, 2016, 2017, or whatever, when they started the T thing, that was
Yes,
good. Like they
yes,
if they could, build on that a little bit more and, show a funny side, to her and like, you know, something like that. But like
yeah,
ultimately I felt like that because I felt like that with Cody and Jay. Ironic, like obviously that wasn't I don't think that was intended, but I feel like ultimately that helped Cody in the long term because we've only people on TV, I should say, have only seen like the American Nightmare, like the rah baby face.
right,
But a lot of
yep,
people who've been following Cody and have seen him on, being the elite or on the JBL and Cole show back in the day, know he's funny. Like
yeah, he's a
he's
funny
a
dude.
riot. So like him being able to show that side, whether it was, planned or not with Jay, I think helped like win some other people over, or like even people who were like already like him more, and say, "Oh yeah, he is a cool dude." Charlotte needs like that moment. I
Yeah,
think that's what she's missing, where it's like, "Oh, she is entertaining." Because I've seen some stuff in the past, that she seems pretty funny, but like we don't see it on TV.
right, yeah,
It's like that's what something that would make us want to cheer for her.
for sure.
But
Um, Kairi Sane being a part of Damage Control. I love Kairi Sane personally. I think Kairi Sane is absolutely one of the best that they've got. But that I she debuted or
her skipping down
returned.
to the ring was
Yeah, that
her skipping down to the ring was outrageous, dude.
she's absolutely fantastic. The return at where were we just last? See,
Crown
this is the
Jewel.
problem. It was Crown Jewel, right? She returned over
Yeah, Crown Jewel.
there in
Yeah.
Saudi, and I mean, obviously the crowd, obviously there's different crowds and everything like that. A lot of people thought that they probably just should have saved it for the United States so that people would actually kind of recognize her. But I'm just glad Kyrie Sane is back at the end of the day because Kyrie
Same.
is just one of the best that they got. And I know this whole partnership with Damage Control is not going to be lasting long, but Kyrie Sane, I'm glad that they brought her back because she's incredible in every way.
She's awesome. Yeah, I was very happy that she came back. Um, there's just something about seeing her, Io, and Asuka together where it's just
Yeah.
like, and even throwing Dakota there, and it's just like, yeah, yeah, I like this. You know, I'm here for it. I don't know what Dakota's timeline is as far as like injury wise, but
I'm hoping she can be ready for the Rumble. I really hope so. But I don't know the timeline either, but
yeah,
hopefully.
because I mean,
She's great. She's great in the
the
ring.
streets. Because
She
I
just
oh, I love Dakota, but I mean, you got if Bailey is out, which seems likely happening, you you got the rest of Damage Control if Dakota's healthy, and I mean, if only there was three other people that could team with Bailey to go against Damage Control. I mean, I haven't I if there was only if only she had like three other friends that she could
I know, right?
team up with. Uh, I mean, if only there was, I don't know if there's enough money, sorry, to uh make that happen, but
I feel like
I'm
there
just
is.
throwing it out there,
I feel like there
you know.
is. I mean, she basically already
Certain
teased it.
certain CM Punk came back recently, so I mean,
If CM Punk can come back in the world of WWE with Triple H at the helm of everything, who knows? Maybe we can get that Mercedes Monet back in business.
I
Um,
mean, I feel like she's got to at some point, right? I'm hoping. I just don't see her in AEW, so like,
I did for a little while, but then all of a sudden, when things just kind of, switched gears in terms of like the women's division actually kind of getting a little bit more recognition and airtime on TV, I'm like, dude, this would be the perfect time to bring her back. I mean, if she wants to. I mean, everything did kind of go
yeah.
sour with the way things went down, but this is a different time now. Triple H is back or really back at the helm, and we can really get this thing going. You know, her and
I mean,
AEW would have been
can
okay.
only hope.
It would have been fine. But after a few feuds here and there with some AEW superstars that you were going to be seeing her against, what else? What else was there
Yeah,
to do?
yeah. I I just don't trust the booking over there in the women's division,
That's fair.
and it's and if she went over there, I would have watched because it's my favorite wrestler, so I would have watched. But like, I don't know, it just didn't. It didn't. It doesn't seem right to me. I don't know
Right.
why, but it just doesn't. And I with Punk going to WWE, if I feel like just, her price just went way up if Tony Khan wanted
For
to bring her
sure.
in. Like
For sure.
yesterday's price is not today's price.
Not at
She,
all.
I feel like there possibly was a time where she may have been headed there, but I don't know, man. I think she's got to come home. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if because she's been hurt, so I don't even know if she's healthy yet. But I wouldn't be surprised if she does some more stuff with New Japan and does I don't even know versus random other places. But like as far as like signing a contract, I don't think she's going to sign another contract until WWE. I mean, such hope, maybe pure hope, but
As of right now, I mean, she's not even really with New Japan anymore or with Stardom. So I mean, she's basically just
no,
free to do whatever she wants. She's just gotta get this. I believe it was an ankle. It was an ankle or a knee, somewhere in the leg area. But
it was
um,
a some type of leg injury.
So she just has to get that sorted out, and then when she does, she'll be able to go wherever she needs to. I mean, there were definitely some talks between Tony Khan and Mercedes. No ifs, ands, or
No,
buts
yeah, it
about it.
sounds
There were
like it.
definitely some talks, and Tony would be stupid not to. But I mean, at the end of the day, her home is with the WWE, and I feel like that's just kind of where she fits
It's
best.
where she
And
belongs.
yeah, and
But there's part of me that's like, wow, I would love to see that. Bringing her back as a part of like the Four Horsemen, even though I would love that, it would also just kind of be like, I feel like she should have her moment by herself,
yeah,
you know. But I don't know.
that's why I'm
As long
kind
as
of
she ends
happy.
up back there, I'll be happy.
That's why I'm happy for Trinity right now. She's doing her thing in Impact, man. And
Yeah,
Trinity, she took a chance with with Sasha after everything that kind of happened with the women's tag team titles. They did their thing, and Trinity's killing it right now in Impact. So I'm
yeah,
glad
very
for what
happy,
she's doing with Naomi.
very happy for her. She's, from what I've seen, she's been amazing. I'm
And
glad that she's finally getting that shot that she deserved.
that Impact Women's division is definitely something to be looking at as well. So that's good stuff there. Um, going over the other matches that have been at Survivor Series, nothing against the War Games matches, but those War Games matches were really the matches of the show. Gunther and Miz. I
Hmm.
thought this feud was really well done in terms of like,
Hmm.
the way with the Miz going after the Intercontinental Championship because he would be tying Chris Jericho, which Michael Cole actually did shout out there. Um
Yeah,
and
there was a
Gunther,
few. There was Edge reference. There was
yeah,
Jericho.
and Gunther being, the longest reigning Intercontinental champion of all time. I mean, Gunther and The Miz, and I said this earlier on, during the course of this build, they could have a low key banger at Survivor Series, and they definitely did with the, story and the way that they kind of went about things for this match. Gunther winning the championship or retaining rather was easily the right move, but a lot of people thought Miz could have done this thing here.
Yeah, no, it was a really good match, man. There there was a couple times where I was like, oh, they might, but
The 2 low blows into the skull crushing finale, that was a really good near fall for the people that
yeah,
wanted
yeah,
it to happen.
yeah, because like the only reason that I was like, oh, they might do it and put the Miz is so that they could say that the Miz has had the most title reigns and that they wouldn't have to acknowledge Chris Jericho. Um,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
them acknowledging him during the match, I was like, well, there goes that. I guess there goes that uh, thought process. But um, I I mentioned this in the my recap of it on TikTok, but I don't know if this was done on purpose or if this was just a coincidence. But the fact that Miz was chasing Jericho and basically lost to Gunther's version of a Walls of Jericho / Lion Tamer. I
Yeah.
don't know if that was done on purpose, but if it was, yo, well done, very well
That
done.
yeah.
Even if it
Yeah,
wasn't
I didn't
on
even
purpose,
really
still
think
well
about
done.
that. That is kinda true. I mean, he did end up by submission with the lion tamer. I didn't even really think about that.
Yeah,
But if that is kind of intentional, that's a great call out there. Um
yeah.
How do you feel about Gunther in this run, man? I mean, I feel like Gunther's just been absolutely killing it. I feel like he's been champion more times, or not more times, a lot longer than he's been on the main roster. I mean, like he's just been a champion in
He's
WWE
always had a
since
belt.
the get go.
Just
Since the
yeah,
get go, man. He's just
because he was UK champion for what, like 2 years,
oh my god, yeah.
and then he came on the main roster for like a cup of coffee, and then he was Intercontinental Champion already. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I feel like he just gets better. It's insane. Um, I don't know when he loses the belt, but I feel like I would not be surprised if it's before Mania. Um, I don't know. I still feel like it has to be Chad Gable.
Yes.
Um,
That's who I
the
have.
man swore to God. The man swore to God as a babyface. If you swear to God and you don't make that happen, it's not a good look.
No,
Uh, so I still feel like it's got to be Gable, but um, a lot of people put out Jey Uso. I wouldn't hate it, but
I wouldn't
he
mind a
didn't swear to
match between
God.
them.
He-
I
yeah,
wouldn't mind a
yeah. I
match
feel like
between them, but I just don't know if that
that
would
that
be
would
a
be a
great move.
Jay. That would be a good one to have. That like a lot of people could see would win,
Yeah,
and the near falls would be like legit.
yeah,
But him
for sure.
ultimately lose. I could see that, or like have Jimmy end up costing him or something.
That could be fair.
Um,
Um, I just don't know how you're really going to be able to do it, man. Because before CM Punk came even into the company, before CM Punk, I had Gunther winning this Rumble, man. I did, and I still kind of want him to. But it's just kind of
mm,
like whatever happened with that because I thought Gunther would have not been the Intercontinental Champion heading into the Rumble. He could have won the Rumble, go against Seth Rollins, and become World Heavyweight Champion because we all know he should be in that world title picture by now. But it's just now CM Punk's in
mm,
the mix, so now his name has to be inserted into that Rumble spot or, a
right.
potential winner. So it's just kind of like, is Gunther going to get snubbed again? Because, I mean, I feel like after last year, with him being, I believe, one of the longest tenured in terms of time wise in a Rumble, I don't
Yeah.
know if you should get snubbed again out of a great spot like that. Because I
Uh,
know his time is
um,
coming. It's just not yet. I just don't know if it's yet.
yeah. I don't think his time is yet. Um, I f- I feel like the only move for Gunther like a Mania is Brock. It's got to be right. Like
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
like, and I mean, I guess you could have the Intercontinental title at the point, but I don't think you
So
need it.
I don't think Brock has ever held that title before, but I mean,
He hasn't,
like,
but I don't think he
I
even
don't
knows
think
it
that match
exists. To be
needs a
honest with you,
championship, like the Intercontinental title.
no, it doesn't. I mean, sure, it won't hurt, but yeah, I don't know. I I, I think Gunther could have been probably one of the favorites for the Rumble had Punk not been back. I could have seen that, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
I'm thinking they
I don't
might
know
just
who's
save
the favorite.
a WrestleMania moment for whoever faces Gunther, and they'll win the Intercontinental Championship there if it's not Brock Lesnar. Because a Brock
Yeah,
Lesnar match
maybe.
have to come, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know.
Because
I mean,
Bash
I
in
guess you
Berlin
can.
is gonna have Gunther in there. Bash in Berlin is gonna have Gunther there. So
Yeah,
whatever happens with that, but that's in August.
yeah, yeah. Mm.
If
Yeah, I don't
anything,
know,
lose
man.
it in the Elimination Chamber. Put the IC title on the line in an Elimination Chamber match. If he has to lose
That's
it
not a bad
there,
idea.
if you have to lose it there,
That's
I
not
mean,
bad.
that's not really, you're saving him basically just because he's in an Elimination Chamber match alone.
Yeah, but you still
But
want to have somebody actually beat him for it.
yeah,
I mean, granted, he would be losing, but
you
I
would
feel like you
lose
need
it. But
that one on one, like someone actually getting the benefit of like beating him one on one. Kind of like that's how I feel about the same with Roman. It's like
yeah,
the person who beats has to be one on one.
yeah, no, I wouldn't want it to be a triple threat or anything like that.
Yeah,
Nah, that's a
it
one-on-one
kind of
moment
cheapens. Yeah, um, yeah. I don't know. I don't. I feel like it's fairly open as far as like who's gonna win the Rumble this year for the men's. Like I
it's a
feel
lot
like
more it's a lot more unpredictable now than it really ever has been. I mean, really,
yeah,
before everything kind of happened, I thought Gunther was almost a lock because he was just right there for it. But now it's
yeah. Because I
unpredictable
mean,
as ever.
it's also not a given that Seth's gonna be the world champion come WrestleMania. Because Priest has that briefcase somewhere running around.
For sure. Do you think he
So
actually successfully cashes in?
I don't know, bro. It's been.
I
I feel like
personally don't
as
think
time
so.
has gone on, I'm like, I don't know if I see, a lane for him to win that. But I feel like something's got to give fairly soon, whether it's him cashing in or him getting the boot from Judgment Day. I feel like one of those, you know, dominoes has to fall like fairly
Yeah,
shortly.
because
Like,
I like how they've actually kind of had this Money in the Bank briefcase be held on for as long as it has, because Money in the Bank's the briefcases really haven't had that much long of a lifespan on WWE TV, because they either get cashed in right away or they just lose it in the end. Um, I like how
right,
it's
yeah.
kind of been drawn out, but I feel like it's been drawn out for too long.
Hmm. Yeah, man. I also agree. Like, I'm happy that it wasn't just a quick cash in or a quick failed cash in or whatever. Um, but yeah, no, as time has gone on, I'm just kind of like, okay, but when do we cash in?
When are we actually trying
Maybe
to
he,
do
I
this
don't know,
here?
like maybe he holds it, huh?
Well, I'm like, when are we actually trying to do this here? Because you got until
Yeah,
me,
I, th-
well, whenever
I
the
think
next
what's
Money in the
June?
Bank pay per view is, like June or July. So
Yeah,
it seems
I
a
mean,
long way away, but it's gonna be here.
I could see a world where Seth does hold on that title till Mania, and he defends it against Punk and he beats Punk, and then maybe Priest cashes in on Raw the next night or the 2 nights following or whatever. Maybe. Um, but yeah, I don't know, man. Gosh, it's gonna be so interesting.
Yeah.
I, d-
Because I mean,
but I feel like something's got to give one way or the other
something
with one
has
of
to
those
give
things.
at some point for sure. Because I mean, you take a look at this whole main event scene right now. When it comes to Raw, you got Seth. I put Gunther in there because Gunther is a main event guy. He's just holding that Intercontinental Championship. Punk, Randy, Cody, McIntyre, Sami Zayn, who we haven't even talked about yet. I think Sami Zayn's absolutely fantastic. And then if you want to put Jey
Love Sammy.
Uso in there, you can do that as well. From top to bottom, this roster on Monday Night Raw looks great, and you have that type of a main event type caliber talent that this Rumble is going to be one of the most unpredictable ones in quite some time. And that's not even mentioning some of the
Yeah,
people over there on SmackDown.
yeah.
It's
I
Road to
mean,
WrestleMania,
do
man. It's
you?
going to be crazy.
There's 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 a lot of options. I feel like this Royal Rumble is going to be one of the like most like one of those like star-studded rumbles like I think of like what was it 2008 Rumble? I think that was the one Cena came back at MSG where it was just like,
Yep.
oh look at there was so many stars in that match, and like this one is going to be insane. You Kevin Owens, LA Knight, who we haven't even mentioned. Solo may end up being the Rumble. You got like I said, like you said, Jey Uso, Sammy, Cody, Nakamura. Uh, like it's
It-
gonna be crazy.
you don't even need to bring back legends for this roster. You really don't.
Nah,
Like with the roster
you
that you
don't.
have assembled, you don't really need to put legends in the Rumble this year to fill it out.
Yeah, like say, did they have? I don't feel like they had
They didn't have
many last
much
year, did
last
they?
year, I feel, but
If any, because it was kind of it was this very similar deal where it was like this is like a pretty solid roster. Uh, so like taking a spot away kind of felt wrong,
I'm
but
actually gonna look that up right now, because I mean I definitely feel like we're kind of right in a sense that not many
I don't think there
um
was many surprises.
Brock
There's
Lesnar
more.
was
I mean,
apparently not affiliated with a brand. Um there was one person, but it was from NXT, and his name is Booker T. Booker T was
Booker
in
was in the
that
Rumble.
Rumble. Booker T was in the Rumble at number 21, apparently. Got eliminated by Gunther in 42 seconds. So,
Why don't I remember
obviously
that?
not long.
Oh yeah, man.
He was actually the only NXT entrant When you have Booker T
That's
as the only NXT
that's
entrant,
crazy.
it's
That's
crazy.
crazy.
Um, and then
That's
Logan
wild.
Paul, who was unaffiliated with the brand at the time, at number 29 for Cody at number 30. So I mean, yeah, not really many people were
Yeah.
unassociated with the brand or from NXT or a legend. So hopefully, you kind of just have that kind of a deal this year as well. So
Yeah, man.
how do you feel about this
Excuse me.
Santos Escobar LWO Rey Mysterio type of deal here? Because I think Santos Escobar is absolutely killing it. I love him as a heel. I'm so glad that
I
happened.
am a yeah. Uh, heel Santos is just it's literally night and day.
Yeah,
Between heel
yeah.
Santos and babyface Santos, like it just it never really worked for me. Where he was just like I don't know, he just seemed too fanboyish when he was a babyface. Like, because I could see him working as a babyface, but what he was doing just didn't really work for me.
At,
That version not great, but him as a heel is just perfect.
no, for sure, man.
He needed that. He
At
needed
the
that.
beginning, I thought, them being paired up with Ray, all right, it's cool. You have somebody like Rey Mysterio and a mentor to go up against Santos. You're fine. That's all good and dandy. But you kind of felt like with Rey Mysterio being added to Legato, turning it into the LWO later on, kind of saw the writing on the wall to where at least somewhere down the line Santos was going to turn, and it turned out to be, not too long ago that it happened. So I'm glad it worked out in the way
Yeah,
that it did, and and Santos as a heel, Santos is just better as a heel, and it's better off this way. Now he was gonna face Carlito, right? But then it turned into Dragon Lee, so things kind of happened there to
yeah.
kind of shake that up. I don't understand
I
the
mean,
reasonings why that kind of happened, but it was good for what it
it was
was.
a good match, but
Yeah,
it was kind of weird because it was like his beef isn't with Dragon Lee, it's with LWO and Carlito. So that was odd, but I mean, it was a good match. Um, Still
I felt like it
wild to
didn't
me
really
that
get to second gear,
Dragon Lee.
but
Yeah, it's wild to me that that match even happened on one of the big four PLEs. Like
yeah,
Dragon Lee
it kind of just
versus
felt like a
Santos
SmackDown
Escobar was a
match.
match that happened.
It kind of just felt like a normal
I was
SmackDown match to me. It,
yeah, I was like, this seems like this would be like the third match on like a takeover. And that's not
yeah,
necessarily saying like it's a
no,
bad
I
thing
could,
per se, but like
no, I
I was
could
like,
see
this
that
is
for sure.
the but I was like the fact that this is happening on Survivor Series is wild to me. Like this does not seem like a PLE match. Like that would be booked. I should not that it wasn't
Even
worthy of a
Santos
PLE,
versus
just that it would be
Carlito at
booked.
Survivor Series just didn't really seem like a big
Yeah,
four
it
pay per
did.
view type matchup to me. But I mean, they had to fill out the card
Yeah,
with something. I mean,
yeah, it was interesting.
not many matches were from SmackDown, really.
I I do want to say like I love the War Games, big fan of it, but there's a part of me that's like I kind of miss the traditional Survivor Series match. Like
Think
not necessarily Raw
I
versus SmackDown.
completely agree. If
It doesn't
anything,
have to be Raw versus SmackDown, but like just a
if anything, you
random
can
like
have
5 versus 5.
one match be
Yeah,
the 5 versus 5.
that's
It doesn't have to be
you
like a
know.
full blown like champion versus champion or just completely just do anything like that. I personally didn't like the champion versus champion aspect of Survivor Series at that time, but that's just me. You can just do one match of a 5-on-5
Yeah,
traditional match and be fine with it. Um,
yeah. I was like, that's like the whole like you can have both. And it
yeah,
doesn't have to be anything special, but like I I feel like as fans, like we were sick of the brand versus brand of it. We didn't. I don't think we were sick of the actual traditional Survivor Series match. It was
no,
just the Raw versus SmackDown that had zero consequences. Like that was the annoying part. But
well,
like, and again, don't get me wrong, I love War Games. I'm happy that it's on the main roster and everything. But
yeah,
give me a traditional match here, bro. Like even if it's just like two random tag teams and a singles like the old days. It has zero consequences, but like it's just hey, open. Just random match, even if it's on the kickoff. I don't care. Just give it to me.
One
I
of
don't.
the best Survivor Series that I, kind of had in my brain for a little while was the one in 20, I believe it was 2019, where they involved NXT with it. I thought the
Yes.
NXT involvement of war game, or not war games, NXT brought war games back, but I thought the NXT involvement in Survivor Series was absolutely fantastic, and I don't know why they kind of just shied away from that, but you kind of had that brand versus brand aspect where they had the little counter at the bottom of how many times
Yeah.
this brand won their match or whatever, but NXT getting a bright spot there, that was huge for them, and they had
Mhm.
they're great moments. I mean, Keith Lee is right there for the taking with that whole Roman Reigns stuff in that match. It was just right there. I miss it, but I don't know if that's ever going to be brought back.
Yeah, no, I love that too. I actually just watched that fairly recently. Um that was, I mean, that was at the peak of like NXT being looked at as a legit third brand. Um but I mean, they're kind of elevating there almost again, so maybe maybe the next year or two we'll see it. But I like that aspect of it too. I thought it was a nice little um change for the normal brand supremacy. Um, and it was refreshing.
It
But after
should,
that,
it
they
should,
went back to Raw vs. SmackDown, and it was like same old shit.
yeah. It showed that there just wasn't only Raw versus SmackDown, or just like a Raw versus SmackDown aspect. There is something else here too that we should kind of like tap into a little bit, and they did that greatly. But yeah, I don't know if that's ever going to be making a comeback, but if it were, I would not be opposed to it. Um, and then uh, the other women's match on the show, really the only women's like singles match on the show, Rhea and Zoe. I was really hoping that Zoe Stark was going to have like some sort of like breakout type of deal here with Rhea. Not saying that it completely wasn't, but I don't know, man. They just didn't really have that much heat for me to really try to get invested into the match because you just know Rhea's going to retain this championship.
Yeah, that's a tough spot. I mean, I thought she looked good, but yeah, there's like Zoe. If she can like get to her mic skills up a little bit, I think she'll be fine. Because in the ring, she is.
There's no
There's no issues, no issues
there's
with
no doubt for
no
her that
notes,
she
as
can
they
be like
say.
can actually be like something in this division. She can be.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah. If she can like get comfortable on the mic, and obviously that'll come with time. But if she can get there, she's definitely got star potential for sure. Because she is like I go back to that match with Becky on Raw before Becky and Trish had their match, and they tore it down.
yeah.
And so you can just know what she's capable of as far as in ring. But it's just getting people invested and um better on the mic for her, I think. But I like Zoe. I liked her in NXT. I think she's got potential. It's just not quite there yet, but
She'll get there.
she's kind of
It
where
just takes time.
Liv was like 2 or 3 years ago. I feel like
Okay,
maybe like
I can
2 years
see that
ago, where
actually,
like where it was like she's got something, but not quite there yet.
for sure,
And
man.
that's
I
that's fine.
completely agree.
That's where like a mid card women's title would be so beneficial because she could be like
Yes,
a women's intercontinental champion, like no problem, something like
for
that.
sure.
But
I
the fact that there isn't,
they did the tag team titles instead, and it's not like I. Okay, I'll be honest. We don't have anything to hide here. I really didn't care, or really don't care all that much for the women's tag team titles, but the champions right now, in terms of who they actually are being held by, I think Chelsea Green's absolutely fantastic. Piper Niven. She's okay.
Mm.
Um, it's
Chelsea
just that this
Green.
Chelsea Green, freaking love everything when it comes down to that call. Um, but I don't know, man. The tag team titles have been very up and down for me over the course of the times that they were created for. I
Yeah,
think a
I just
women's
wish they
singles
would.
title would have been better, personally.
I just wish they would just have like legit tag teams. Like they have
That's exactly it.
Caden.
That's only that's really the
They have
problem.
Kate. It's like Caden and Katana, and then I mean, I guess you consider Alba Fire and
Isla Dawn, yeah,
Isla Dawn. They're a real tag team,
yep.
but none of them are being used. So, uh, yeah, I mean, guess I wanted better for the tag titles. Um, it's not that hard to do. It's like
No,
they have such a deep roster, and it's like
yes,
just make it happen. Like
yeah.
it only
I
seems like it matters when it's like two like of the stars that get together and like, hey, let's be champions. All right, it's like, all right, cool. Like Shayna and
I
Nia, okay. Sasha and Bailey, but when it's like Chelsea Green and Piper Niven, it's like, oh, we don't really care about it as much. It's like, man,
I mean, they just defended the titles last night on Raw against Natalia and Tegan Knox. I love Tegan Knox. I think Tegan Knox is great, but is she really supposed to be in a team with like a Natalia? Like,
because
I'm not even
that team
trying to
had
like disagree. I'm not even trying to disrespect Natalia in that way. It's just where's the
there was
actual
no
alliance or pairing?
build. Yeah, it just
Like,
came out of nowhere. Like it Natalia's I don't mind Natalia. I feel like she gets a bad rap sometimes, but
same, yeah.
she, she's she's not a good actress. And so her when she was like being compassionate to Tegan, it came off like I thought she was being like sarcastic or like
I thought she was
being
gonna
like
turn on her. Like, she was,
I did too.
just kinda
That's
doing the whole fact of, like, "Alright, it's okay, everything's gonna be fine," and everything like that, and then when you least expect it, she's gonna turn. Like, I
yeah, that's exactly what I thought. But apparently, but what it is that she just has the same
no,
tone
she just
regardless
has
of
the
whether
sense.
she's sincere or not. So it's like you can't really tell whether what was happening. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh wait, so she was being serious, like she actually is wants to be friends with, okay. And by the time you catch on, it's like, oh, they have a tag title match, and it's like, wait, okay.
That's also
Meanwhile,
a problem that we have here, is because I just feel like these titles get put on the line randomly, sporadically, throughout this entire time, when there's been no build for a championship match, no, like contenders match or anything like that. Because as far as I was aware of, Tegan Knox and Natalia didn't win anything to get a tag team title opportunity, and it's kind of just like, yeah, sure, they'll be out there for like a good 7-8 minutes, do whatever you need to do, if that. But was that really needed
yeah,
on an
it's
episode of
like
Raw?
it you
That's why
you can
3 hours is
probably you
also a
can
chore
count
for me.
on, yeah. You can count on one hand how many like meaningful women's tag team title feuds there's been. It's like the Kabuki Warriors and uh Sasha and Bailey, and then
Yep.
well, Sasha and Bailey and Nia and uh Shayna had a pretty good feud
Yeah.
back in 2020. 2020.
Might have been. That
That's
whole
about it.
pandemic era was kind of a blur to me. Um,
That's about it. Honestly, like there wasn't much else other than that. You
yeah.
know, so yeah, it's been very frustrating, and e- Sasha and Naomi are kind of get more and more justified as the weeks go on.
Yeah. Um, well, I just found out from wrestling Twitter. Of course, you know how that goes. Um, Ivar followed Bronson Reed to NXT. So during the Fatal 4-Way, I guess Ivar just randomly attacked Bronson. So we're probably gonna get more stuff like that on Raw. So that's interesting enough to
Wait,
say the least.
Bronson Reed was What was Bronson
There
Reed doing?
there is a fatal four-way of some sort for like a for like a number one contendership for like the North American Championship. It was like
Huh?
I want to actually kind of look this up too now because um Triple H talked about it before NXT went on the air. Um yeah, so it was Johnny Gargano, Cameron Grimes, Bronson Reed, and and who and Wesley. If Wesley won this fatal four way, he would get an NXT North American Championship shot against
Oh, okay.
Dominic Mysterio. But it wasn't technically known as just a
Kind of.
number one contenders four way for the North American Championship. It's just if Wes
It's
won.
just Wesley. Yeah. So,
If
oh,
Wes
okay.
won,
But when was that announced? Was that announced last week?
probably.
I was
I
like, how did
didn't
I
get a
miss
chance
this?
to watch last week's episode. So if anything, it probably was. I just didn't notice. Um
Because I watched last week. I didn't know. I didn't even know that was. I
Bronson
must have
Reed,
missed
Johnny
that.
Gargano, and Cameron Grimes going back to NXT for a four-way that just, you know,
Huh?
stacked
I mean,
Wesley up to the gills. I don't know if he
I'm
won. I
excited
didn't
to watch
get to
that,
see
but
watch NXT, so
I
I'm
probably
actually
gotta watch
going
it.
to Deadline, so I mean we'll
Yeah.
see if that actually happens. So
Where's it's in Bridgeport, right?
yep, Bridgeport, Connecticut. Yep, I live
Nice.
in CT, so it's like a half hour away.
Yeah. Dope. Yeah. I knew you were fairly close. I forgot that it was gonna be there. That's cool. Um.
Yeah, it's actually
Huh.
the
Yeah.
first
I'm excited to go watch
NXT.
that then.
It's actually the first like NXT premium live event since like uh Takeover 25, I believe. It's been a long time
Great.
since they showed a PLE here in CT, but the fact that it's
Yeah.
Deadline too, and I can't wait to see those Iron Survivor matches because the last time we saw the
Dude,
Iron
that was
Survivor
so good.
match, great, so good.
I'm a fan of that. I'm a fan of that kind of match. I really like that one.
I'm actually just gonna look up NXT Deadline, see if Wesley actually got this thing. He probably did because it's kind of yep, he did. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be West versus Dom for the title.
Seems about right. Yeah,
Then
that's
you
about right.
got Ilya
No,
and
that's
Baron
crazy.
Corbin. Ilya and Baron Corbin again. Okay. Okay.
Bro. Put the belt on Corbin. Give it to him.
I
I
actually
want it.
liked Corbin in
I
this
want
run
it.
of NXT.
I've always actually been a Corbin fan. Like
I
his first NXT run, I liked him,
yeah.
and I've
Lone
liked
Wolf
him
Corbin
more.
is great.
I've liked
It's
him the
just
more that people have hated him.
yeah.
The more people start
Yeah.
to hate him, I've liked him more. I had to
The,
go the opposite way, but he's not. He's. I feel like he's finally getting his due, and like people
he's
are
finally
finally
getting back
acknowledging
on
how.
track and he's finally getting his due for what he's really meant, for. I like this run for NXT really got me to be a genuine fan of his because I'll be honest, I wasn't that big of a Corbin fan, with honestly, it all started when he lost the Money in the Bank briefcase.
Yeah, that wasn't great.
That right there,
Yeah, that wasn't great.
completely going after that, I just didn't really care for him. I didn't. And then when he
That's
started to
fair.
be poor, I thought it was funny. I thought it was kind of,
Oh, bum ass bro.
bum ass Corbin,
I love bum ass Corbin.
y-
They fucked up when they made him like rich and shit.
and then they turned him to a rich guy, and I was like, okay, what are we doing here? But then this NXT run when he went back and he did his thing,
Yeah,
he's turned me back into a fan, man. I mean, he's just been absolutely killing it. So
yeah. He's been really good over there. I'm been very happy. Plus, like I don't know if you follow him on social media. He's a very likable guy.
yeah,
Like I know
like
he portrays like a dick on TV, but he's actually a pretty likable dude.
he's a he's a watch connoisseur and loves to cook some steak. I mean, dude,
Loves
who wouldn't
loves
want
him
to
some
get
steak, bro.
who wouldn't want to get together with a guy like that?
Yeah,
Um,
man.
but But yeah, and then also we actually apparently had two Iron Survivor Challenge qualifiers as well. Braun Breakers in the Iron Survivor, as well as um. Well, actually, I think everybody's filled out for the women. Tiffany Stratton, Lash Legend, Blair Davenport, Kalani Jordan, Roxanne Perez, Thea Hale, Fallon Henley, and Kiana James, all in the Iron Survivor Challenge this year for the women.
Nice.
Should be a good one.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I can't wait. Is that this Saturday? Or is it next Saturday?
The 9th. So I don't think it's this weekend, but the
Next
next weekend.
Saturday. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So
I'm honestly I've been enjoying NXT more than almost any other show as of late. It's just been a
that's
lot more
honestly fair to say.
easy. It's like the easiest show to watch for me.
It's easy to digest for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
it reminds me of like late 2014, early 2015 NXT right now, and that was like probably my favorite era. Like right before they went to Brooklyn, and then they started
yes,
going on the road more. It
yes.
reminds me of that era. Like I loved NXT at that time. So
Plus the talent that they
that's
have over here right now in NXT, you can get behind almost basically anybody, and you are going to be a fan of what they got going on there because the talent there, it's top notch. The future is very bright for this company if they actually want to get this right.
100%, man. Yeah, like they I I know like a lot of people were soured on like the 2.0 era, and understandably so,
Yeah.
but they have really like flipped a switch in the last like 9 months to a year, probably. Like it's definitely not the same. Like I mean, there's some corny shit on there, but there always has been. Like they're trying they're always trying different stuff, and like that's what it is. It's developmental, but as a whole, like it's a good show.
The one thing I'll give NXT is the character development aspect of this show. There are a ton of characters that have just been developing over the course of the years that they have been down there, and it has been working to their advantage most of the time. So the character development there is par for the course, really, really good stuff there. So
100%, man. Yeah, I'm I'm really enjoying NXT. I look forward to watching it every week. So
there's still
although
one more
somehow I
person.
missed, well,
Yeah,
somehow I missed that fucking Bronson Reed.
the four-way. Yeah,
Yeah,
I had no idea that was even happening either.
but him
Um,
and Ivar, they can fight
They can
all
fight
over the place.
anytime they want.
Yeah, what was that like? What was that from Family Guy? Where it's like, was it Pete and the chicken? Then and the chicken, like they just
I believe so, yeah.
yeah.
Um,
Give me Bronson Reed and Ivar just break down into fights on every show.
I would
Throw
not
him on the
mind it.
bump, randomly just fighting through the bump.
Just
I don't
fighting on the
care.
bump.
On the
Just
backstage
go.
Smackdown on SmackDown. You
Just do
know,
it. Um,
absolutely.
Dijak, Trick Williams, Josh Briggs, Braun Breaker, and one more to be determined for the men. Um, Obviously, these are number one contender matches, basically for the women's and NXT championships. There's definitely some choices in the men's that are kind of like I didn't expect them to be in this match, but I'm gonna
Josh
be excited
Briggs.
overall. Yeah.
That
Um,
was a shocker. That was a
I
surprise.
thought it was gonna be a lock for Trick Williams versus Carmelo Hayes because I thought it was gonna be Carmelo Hayes that beat down Trick. I was the only person that probably thought that apparently, but
No, I mean a lot of people thought it was Carmelo. I was always I thought my first choice was Wesley. I thought because he was gone for a while. Now
yeah,
that seems to not be the case. But my second choice, my dark horse, was Lexus King. So, but I feel like they're making it too obvious now that it was him.
yeah.
So I don't know. It could turn out to have been Mello all along. Who knows? I don't know.
I just thought we were going to be getting that whole Braun Breaker. My God, Trick Williams versus Carmelo Hayes thing because I think Carmelo Hayes has been ready for the main roster to me, in my opinion, for the longest time. But I thought that was
Yeah,
just going to be a perfect send off. for him to go to the main roster or whatever, but they're gonna extend that, I feel, for as long as they possibly could.
Yeah, I'm a big Carmelo guy. Big Carmelo guy.
Same, same.
I my my buddies joke with me all the time because I say it all the time how much I love Carmelo Hayes.
You and my friend Olaf would be, very, very
I
good friends because he's a
I
big fan as well.
it's just he says he's him, and it's like he is. Like you
He
can see it.
is.
He's legit. Um, yeah.
Like I said, the
Uh,
future is
he-
bright.
speaking of old NXT, like I've been saying, he reminds me of like 2015 Sasha Banks, like where he is,
That's actually not a bad comparison. No,
like
not at all.
his character, like where he's come from, like his whole like gimmick, and like from the last like 2 years, it just reminds me of like NXT's era Sasha Banks.
Just the overall aura of what
Mm-hmm.
he is about. I can actually see that. That's actually a really good comparison.
Yeah,
Um,
and they got the whole Boston connection too, so there's that.
for sure.
That's just an
Um,
added bonus, but
can we get Braun Breaker up to the main roster by now, please?
bro,
He's been down there for way too long.
he
I feel
is
like
like
I feel like he's almost turning into the Dakota Kai of NXT because Dakota Kai was down there in NXT for like 7 years. She didn't need to
it's
be
like
down there for that long, so doesn't he.
yeah, Braun. I feel like Braun was ready to go like 6 years ago. It's wild.
Feels
Like
that
I don't
way.
know what I don't know what else. It's literally they're like, oh well, he hasn't done this yet. Like, does he really need to?
Doesn't
Like,
like he's been
like he hasn't feuded with Akira Tozawa yet. I'm like, okay, I guess we got to go down the whole
sure.
checklist. All right, fine.
Sure. I mean, you can do that, I guess. I mean, he was already one of the most um dominant NXT champions within this current, era of NXT. So I mean, hell, you already gave that to him. You haven't beat Dolph Ziggler on an episode of Monday Night Raw to win back the championship. I don't understand. I didn't understand that whole thing, but it is what it is. Um, they just there's just done. They're done. They're done
I don't
with
know
it.
what. Yeah, I don't know
Get
what
over
else
there.
is left. I really don't know what else is left for him. Like, part
If
of me
you
feels
want to
like they're
do
just.
any NXT call ups, do them in the Rumble.
Yeah, I feel like he has to be in the Rumble. I thought I said that last year, but like at this point, bro, what are we waiting for? Get him in
So
there. Hell, maybe it's him and Gunther at WrestleMania. Who knows? Like
that would be interesting
he, he
for sure.
get him up there, bro. Like I don't know. Have him spear every single person. I don't even care. Like just enough
If
already. Like
if any match proved that he was ready enough to be on that main roster, it was the match against Seth down in NXT.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know if you saw that. I mean, that match right there
Hmm.
was Seth for the world championship. It- He did
Yeah,
he did great over there. So
yeah.
I mean, if
Him
you
and
can hang
Corbin.
it with Seth again, hanging it with Seth and Corbin, you got that. Like
Yeah,
those two are basically the two gatekeepers of the company.
yeah,
Corbin, who you put, they basically put everybody
yep.
against Corbin.
He's the test.
Um, they put every they put everybody against the Miz, Corbin, and Seth Rollins. Those three right there are kind of like those people that if you need to prove yourself to somebody, those three are the ones you call. I feel.
100%.
Um, I let's just talk about this one final thing and we can get the hell out of here real quick. The promo
Yeah.
on Raw for CM Punk. Um,
Mm,
there's been a lot of conversation
yeah.
about the CM Punk promo on Monday Night Raw, saying it was a little bit too corporate, a little bit too weak. Um, I mean, I made a video about it and everything like that. I just didn't feel like after 10 years of being away from the company, they could have done a little bit more than just 5 minutes for CM Punk. But I'm willing to, just let it ride. And I'm not saying that this was a complete bust right out the gate. I just wanted a little bit more than what we got.
Yeah, I think probably everybody wanted to, but
Yeah.
maybe that was just the point, not to give everything away right away. and to
That's
want
fair.
more to come back. I said it earlier, like this era of WWE, if they've proven anything, it's that they are willing to wait it out and tell stories and stretch it out. I mean, and maybe this was just part of it. I was expecting a little bit something different from what we got, but um, I'm willing to wait and see. I mean, I feel like there was a lot of people who were just like expecting like pipe bomb 2.0 or
Pipe
whatever,
Bomb 2.0. A
and
lot
it's
of
like,
people were expecting that, all right, he's going to bash Tony Khan and his former employer of AEW and everything like that. Like, no, I never expected that.
yeah,
Nobody should have expected that. And if you did, you can't just fooled yourself in a way.
yeah, because it's like if he does that, I mean, sure, there may be some subtle digs here and there, that like one of those if you know kind of deals,
Right.
but like outright, I don't think you will, because what does that prove? It just proves that he hasn't changed if he does that.
Exactly.
And like the biggest thing that it seemed like he had a problem with in AEW was, the lack of professionalism, and how it was almost like the inmates running the asylum, and backstage. And in WWE, it's the exact opposite. Like
Yes.
there's a very solid structure. There's a system, and it's just that funny at this point in his career. That's what he needs. Whereas like back when he left, he probably wanted a more AEW like environment,
Yeah.
but at this point in his career, this is what he needs. Um,
He literally said it in his promo. Like, the wise man told me I needed to step away in order to really, kind of grow within this business. And that's kind of what he did. I mean, he
mhm.
did other ventures and everything like that. But then when he got back into pro wrestling, went to AEW, did his thing there. Of course, there was that honeymoon phase. Everybody loved CM Punk just being back in the world of pro wrestling in general. But then things kind of went a little bit sour, and then that whole all in, uh, the the brawl out thing happened. That
Brawl
was
out,
really bad.
yeah,
And then the all in
and brawl
situation
in,
happened,
brawl out, and then
brawl
brawl
in,
in. Yeah,
and then that sort of deal happened. And Tony Khan did what he had to do. I don't think that Tony Khan ever really wanted to fire CM Punk, but he had to do it for the betterment of his company.
oh yeah,
Otherwise, there was just going to be real bad backlash that was going to be, going to the forefront of it. And I commend Tony Khan for at least just getting CM Punk back in the world of pro wrestling, because if he didn't, we wouldn't be seeing this run right now with him in WWE. And I'm not saying that everybody can just change overnight, but the CM Punk haters that just feel like just want him to fail so that they can say, "Ha ha! I proved you
yeah,
right. He was bad all along."
yeah.
I'm
It,
just
it,
wait.
it
I
it's
want to let
interesting.
it ride.
Yeah,
I
it's
want to
it's
let it ride.
interesting, man, because like a lot of the people who were like, "Oh, he's so immature, like he needs to grow up," blah 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 blah. We're probably like the same people that wanted a pipe bomb from him last night on Raw. And it's
Yeah.
like that's the exact behavior that you were saying that he needed to grow up from. And like we'll get some of those moments probably. I mean, that's just him as a person.
If we're getting that Seth
But
versus Punk feud, there's going to be some big
yeah,
digs in there and big moments that are going to be a part of that feud. So
right.
ride it
See,
out.
I don't expect Punk to talk about that. I expect
It's really
Seth.
going to be
To.
Seth. It's really going to
Right.
be Seth.
Right.
Because honestly, Seth should just be the embodiment of the CM Punk haters. Look, I've been here for 10 years while you were gone doing your UFC bit or your other company shtick or whatever you were doing. But I've been
Right.
here grinding,
Exactly.
doing the thing.
Exactly.
So
I mean, if you want to let
bring it
CM Punk
on.
tell a story, let it have him on Broken Skull Sessions or whatever. Let him go crazy on there. We don't need to hear it necessarily on Raw or SmackDown. We don't need to.
Yeah.
But if you really want him to tell a story, have him on there or have him on what's it, After the Bell with Corey Graves. Do
Actually,
one of
I
those
heard
things.
that that
You know
podcast is no longer a thing anymore. I just heard that. Like, that
what?
podcast is done.
Which one?
After the Bell with
Oh,
Corey
really?
Graves. Yeah,
No
that
kidding.
that completely just disbanded.
No
I
kidding.
Yeah, it legitimately just became a story today, to be completely honest.
Oh, wow.
That podcast is no longer gonna be a thing, and I actually liked After the Bell.
I did too.
I was almost a weekly type of listener up until the point where I kinda just fell off for a little bit, but I caught up
Yeah,
and
I
everything was
enjoyed that
cool,
too. Huh.
but now it's no longer a
Mm.
thing. They had a lot of other co-guests or not co-guests, wow, co-hosts, I should say. There was, like, Kevin Patrick for a little while, then there was, like, um,
Vic Joseph was for a
Vic
while.
Joseph was for a little
Yeah,
bit, that they kinda really just over the last few months of that show, they kinda just they didn't really know what I guess they were doing, and they kinda
it's
just, like
probably it's probably going to be a bit much for Graves with a newborn too. I imagine.
that's honestly what the report was saying. So,
Yeah,
with him being the new father, with Carmela, which I completely understand. If he
that's fair.
wanted to be a father and do it, you know, it's okay.
It's okay. I'm still waiting for the New Day podcast to come back.
I was wondering if that was ever gonna come back myself,
Bro,
so
they've been on hiatus for like 3 years. What's so weird is they put out like best of still every Monday. Like it
yeah.
like they haven't missed a week. Like they put out a best of every Monday. And it's like, why wouldn't you just stop? Like and just stop teasing us like it's gonna happen, come back. I don't understand why they keep doing that, but it's
You know, yeah, just the
but
whole world of pro wrestling right now in the world of WWE is, just insane.
hell yeah.
Um, we got AEW tomorrow. These next few weeks heading into when is it? It's World's End. That's gonna be a very, very big pay-per-view for them. I'm actually going to that as well. So I'll be going to New York
No kidding.
and we'll see where things go with that. That's at the Nassau Coliseum, which
Nice, dude.
is
Yeah.
a very, very big um, venue for them, especially for
Yeah.
AEW. The Nassau Coliseum is a big event for them.
That's been a big one for them.
So we'll see where that goes there. I'm getting the hell out of Dodge though. As soon as that show is over, um, luckily, the Nassau Coliseum is like really only like a 2-hour drive from me. So I'll be able to get home perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And I won't have to worry about the whole New Year's festivities over there in New York because that would be a nightmare.
Oh yeah, that's right.
so, um,
Oh wow. Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
so I'm glad I'm getting out of there as soon as I possibly could. Um, but then Friday Night SmackDown tomorrow, or not tomorrow, on Friday, I don't really know much about that show. I know Randy's gonna be there apparently. He's advertised, but other than that,
Hmm.
we're just gonna have to wait and see.
Yeah. Is Roman supposed to be there yet? Or no. I know
Probably
Logan
not.
Paul is. Logan
Logan
Paul
Paul,
is.
yes. Roman, I don't even
I
really
don't think
think
so.
he's
I don't
gonna
think
be on
Roman.
any episode of SmackDown up until the final few weeks of the Rumble build. So
Yeah, I was to say I don't think he is, but well, oh well.
yeah, we'll see. Um, Yeah, man. I just want to thank you. I think this episode is absolutely fantastic, and we did a really, really good job just talking. Just all the great stuff. I want to thank you for your
Yeah,
time.
man. Hey, man.
Um,
Absolutely. I
this
appreciate you.
was
Appreciate you for offering.
this was a
Happy to do it.
this is a great opportunity just to get to know you personally and see what you were about. And now, um, you know, I'd be I'd be happy to have you on again whenever the time is right and we can do this again. We usually do have a lot more people on this show and it usually does get a little bit crazy, but having a one-on-one conversation with somebody like this was great. So I appreciate it.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I'm down. Just let me know. Always
All right,
down to talk a little wrestling. You know what I'm saying?
man. Alright, man. So I appreciate you. I appreciate the people that are gonna be watching this after the fact. I know everybody was basically watching NXT, so you guys are definitely gonna be seeing this after the fact, and we will definitely see you guys down the road. Um, and yeah, we'll talk some more pro wrestling later on down the line. So for Derek over here, I'm Phil. We'll talk to you next time right here on OTB. Peace.
Yeet.